Coming at you nearly live and direct from the Stephen King state of eternal weirdness and frostbite, we proudly bring to you the mystical duo of all things bizarre and macabre, as they will serve as your guides on a magical mystery tour de la Jolla of creepiness. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we have had a weird week.
We have had a very weird week, and for us, that's pretty weird.
That's pretty weird.
Because our normal is already weird.
Right. If we say that it's been weird, then it's probably ultimate weird for someone else.
For like normal people, they'd be hiding.
Right, exactly. Crying, rocking back and forth, sucking their thumb.
Checking themselves in.
Yeah, exactly. So rewind a little bit. We had this investigation that we did a little bit over a week ago, and on that investigation, we're doing a project. I'll just say that much, you know. And so in the midst of doing this, secret squirrel project here. Oh, squirrel. That's going to come up.
Yes, it is.
A little foreshadowing of the squirrel. But in the midst of doing a project, we actually did this investigation. Cool place, met cool people. The only thing that happened that wasn't very cool was the surprise guest. Yes. So you may have seen our surprise guest featured on Paranormal Lockdown, as our surprise guest had been on there, and our surprise guest was a certain Dybbuk box.
Yes.
So we wanted to start off the show to tell you about this.
Let me just start by saying we didn't know that this was going to be there.
Oh, no.
We were going to do this building. The guy that's over the building, he was going to be there. We knew he was going to stay. And he brought along some stuff.
Yeah.
Some things.
And he had some cool stuff.
He did have some cool stuff.
Normally when people say, hey... I'm going to
bring some equipment along.
Right. And actually, I went light on our equipment this time. I didn't bring the DVR. I didn't bring this because we had some other people involved. But, I went a little bit light. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go audio heavy on this. And we've talked before. We like to go old school. We like to get a notebook and a recorder and a flashlight and just go for it, right?
Right.
So this is a huge place that we were doing. And just the ambiance around this place was really creepy itself. But come to find out later in the night, he's like, the old horror movie standard. You want to see something really cool?
Yeah, because he had this box and it was locked.
Well, I mean,
with a lock.
The second I walked in that building, I've never seen Stacey take a step back. And she actually took a step back. I felt like it was in the Shining Hotel and the blood was coming down the damn hallway. As soon as we opened the door to this place...
It was really heavy.
It was heavy. Thank you for using my word.
Yes, and we were like, wow, this place is going to be great. Can you feel that already?
Yeah, until we got up the stairs. And when we got up the stairs, I got vertigo. It was like all the warning signs were there. Very, we know my deal. And as soon as I got up the stairs, it was like, okay, this is weird. And so he ends up showing us, and once again, cool dude, cool place. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Right.
I'm not all about that. So I'm just, telling you about the place and the people.
Right.
But we got there and he had the Dybbuk box. A Dybbuk box. The Dybbuk box that was actually the same one that was on Paranormal Lockdown. So sometimes things affect people differently.
Yes.
Some people can hold something and it doesn't affect them. Then there's people that are maybe more sensitive or more apt to being affected that get affected. I'm raising my hand right now. That would be me. And
then there are those people that probably shouldn't touch the thing but can't help themselves.
That would also be me. And that happened this time. So here's the weird thing, folks. So I didn't touch the thing for a long time. And we get to going down to the most hardcore section of this building. And, somebody suggests that I touch it and that I use it to make some cool things happen.
To boost up the activity.
So I take this thing with me. And I am down in this... catacomb area or basement area. And I'm down there and I actually hold it without anything around it. I just hold it and my hand starts burning. Now this is all stuff that I vaguely remember. Okay. The part after that, I don't have any memory. I don't recall at all, which is terrifying. But for probably a good 30 minutes, I checked out, man.
Yeah,
I am
you
totally
guys
checked out.
were down there. Like, I didn't go, which in retrospect is a little strange. I don't know why I didn't go.
Well, she didn't go in the basement. She was in.
I was at the investigation, but I stayed upstairs. I mean, I could have very
during
easily
this part,
just gone down with you, but I didn't. I don't really remember why. I just stayed back. And it's probably something in the back of my mind going, John's going to do something stupid. Don't go. So they were down there for a long time. So they came back up and they were telling me what was going on. And honestly, if it hadn't been on video, I almost probably wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. I didn't remember any of the things people were telling me, and I had actually made a statement earlier in the night that I don't leave buildings unless I want to leave buildings. Nothing's going to force me out. Well, that's not the kind of thing you want to say to this thing, I guess.
Well, you said that before you knew there was a demon in a box.
Right. So,
like you weren't purposely trying to challenge it.
I ended up on hands and knees crawling because of something happening in my spine area. I ended up going out to the vehicle
with some help.
Yes. And the weird thing is, after a whole lot of cleansings and whatnot, and some help from a wonderful light, this medium healer from California actually helped me, and I had a great energy shift that came out of this. Full moon, we have an eclipse coming up, all this cool stuff, and I'll tell you, I had an energy shift, and I have felt fantastic, but it affected me tremendously, and there was activity that happened that was caught on camera. That
crazy.
A ball like flies through the room. Okay, a chair basically just completely moves quite substantially
right next to you,
right within inches of me, and I didn't put it over. I didn't react. Like, I'm not talking like I didn't react like I looked over and was like, oh well, that's nothing. I didn't react, glassy eyed, looking straight forward,
right,
like I didn't even know it happened.
Yeah, and anyone that knows John, any of you that have investigated with us or can even tell from this podcast, he's not the not put over stuff kind of person.
Yeah.
We had people with us, so if a chair had moved, he would have been like, holy crap, did you see that?
Yeah.
And activity and just crazy.
I'm P.T. Barnum.
Yeah,
like, I'm completely like, oh my God,
a showman.
a showman.
But the creepiest part is, even after all that happened, like you can watch him on the video, he just like walks away. He puts the box down. He walks away to the corner of the room where there's nothing.
Right.
And is mumbling to himself, and nobody has any idea what he's doing. And then he just comes back.
Yeah.
And nobody can figure out what's going on.
Which we have an EVP from that time, which was really creepy listening back and doing the evidence, because you don't remember what was being said in the first place. But I have an EVP from that time talking about it. It says I have him. And, which is creepy, very creepy.
It is.
Thank God it didn't have me for very long. But here's the thing. There was some people with us, and the people that were affected were the people like me who didn't really, think much of the box or whatever.
Right.
Stacy's very protected. She does a lot of protection, and she didn't have any effects, but we had somebody that actually was hospitalized after this.
Had to go to the emergency room.
We had another.
And actually, that was the most skeptical person.
Yeah, the most skeptical person ended up being hospitalized with no good reason. We had another person that ended up a little bit messed up from it, and of course we had me, and mine was okay after taking care of myself. But yeah, very strange. It was very heavy, but the fun doesn't end there. So as I previously mentioned, I was talking to someone who does energy work, and I was talking to her on the phone, and it was late at night. It wasn't as late for her, but it was
right.
Being in California, but it was pretty late for me. So I was doing this energy work, and I could actually feel the shift. And right about the time I was talking about, you know what? I feel fantastic. I heard this big bang downstairs. Now, as we documented before, we live in an old house. We live in an old, pretty beautiful house, but it's got a lot of history.
Right.
And you just hear bangs. The house is alive. It's alive.
We
moving.
have spirits that live in this house.
Right.
We know we do.
Right. So, you get used to it. You don't get used to it, but you get used to it. It's not, you don't run out to the street screaming. But when this phone call was over, I got Stacey, And I was like, hey, I heard a big bang downstairs. It was not a normal bang. It was like one of those popo at the door bangs. Mm-hmm. So, we went down to take a look and check it out.
Right.
And we were going through Stacey's ritual because we didn't find anything.
Yeah, nothing was fallen over or displaced. Nothing fell. I mean, nothing.
Right. And so then Stacey, she's not OCD, but she's a little OCD. Every night she does the same ritual with checking the doors, checking the locks, looking outside, all that good stuff. And
just gotta make sure that people that are watching us are out there,
right? And
so I feel safe.
And by this time, it was actually, because it was a weekend night. We were up really late, and the sun was coming up. Mm-hmm. It was like 5 a.m. Here in Maine, and the sun was coming up. Mm-hmm. Stacey checks the front door, and then out on the front walk.
Yeah, like I looked out the window. It was locked, and I peeked out the window, and John was standing there. I was like, John, what is that? I was like, look at that on our front walk. What is that? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, well, I'm going to go out there and check, because it was starting to get light, so it wasn't as creepy as it normally is. So I opened the door, and I go out on the front walk, and there is a dead squirrel laying on its back on our front walk and underneath that huge tree that we have.
Right.
And it wasn't like a cat killed it or it wasn't run over. It had no marks on it at all, no blood.
Yeah.
It was just a flat squirrel.
Yeah.
Just laying on our front walk. Yeah, it just fell out of the tree or something.
It was an ex-squirrel.
And so I didn't do anything with it then, because it was like, 5 o'clock in the morning. I was tired. So we went back in the house, and I was like, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, so I mean, she actually, being Stacey, she gave it a proper burial later in the day.
I did. I got a shovel and took it out back, and
it said words, all that good stuff.
I liked Ariana's words the best. I'm sorry you were a clumsy squirrel.
Yes,
that was her eulogy.
yes. Ari is the mix of you and I, so she cares enough to bury the squirrel, but she's going to make fun of it as she does it.
Exactly.
But here's where the story takes a little bit crazier turn. Now, we had decided already to start doing a vlog, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens to us, like dead squirrels falling from trees,
right? Stuff we talk about on the show and things like that.
Right. There's always something going on. So we thought, what would be fun? We have each week it seems that we double our subscribers, our listeners. We have a lot of interaction with our listeners, and we love everyone. We love to talk to you guys so much.
Right.
So we're like, what? We already are pretty open about who we are.
Yeah, we don't really utilize our YouTube channel like we should.
Right. So why don't we just, start filming some of this stuff and put up some videos of the crazy stuff that happens to us, and it might be fun for people to, see a little bit of it, like 3 o'clock in the morning when we're hearing scratching or something to film it, and the fact that we're laughing about it.
Right.
So we had already filmed a few things that we were going to, put out there. And so later that afternoon, we're going to the store. And a few blocks down, but on the same street, it's the difference of north and south on this street. So a few blocks down, I'm driving in. I'm like, what the hell? And there's another dead squirrel just laying there. Now, this may be, commonplace for most folks. Like, oh, hey, there's another dead squirrel. But for us, it's pretty weird.
It is pretty weird. We've lived here a long time. I've not seen any dead animals on our front yard.
Just squirrels dropping dead. I mean, from doing this show for the last 7 years, or doing podcasts for the last 7 years, I should say, you see how we've had so many stories of mass bird deaths or fish kills or whatever. I don't recall any mass squirrel deaths.
Right.
So we did go looking for any more dead squirrels.
More squirrel bodies.
More squirrel bodies. It's just something weird. Is it connected? Is it not?
I don't think you mentioned this, but you did look up what a dead squirrel omen would be, because we're big on signs and omens. Like we look for those all the time.
Absolutely.
And it's good to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that happens, not everything, but a lot of things that happen are signs and can help you. And when you look up, you would think that would be a bad omen, but it's really not.
No.
And funny enough, it actually stood for a change.
A dramatic change.
And that's what was happening when you heard that bang, which could have very well been the squirrel.
Yeah, the poor squirrel.
Yeah, poor thing.
His life was just for my energy shift. But no, it is cool and strange and everything all at once. But hey, just wanted to share with you guys about this investigation and about, because we share, we love to share everything with you guys, and so that was strange, and then the squirrels were strange. It's just been a weird week.
It has been.
It has just been a weird week. But speaking of weird, ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to go to find everything Dead Squirrel. Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. Tons of dead squirrels. Twitter @Sideshow97. Join us there for dead squirrels and among other things. On Instagram, Hot Dead Squirrel Dam. It's John and Stacey Edwards. On YouTube, subscribe. You're going to enjoy it. Well, we hope you're going to enjoy it. If you're not, then subscribe anyway and get more people to subscribe so you can ruin their lives. But it'll be youtube.com/Paranormal Sideshow. And as always, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you listen, that's where we'll be. And if we're not there, let us know and we'll get there.
Exactly.
We've had all these subscriptions and a lot of people listening, a lot of people interacting, and thank you so much. We enjoy doing this. We don't do this for, any monetary gain. We don't do this
obviously.
Obviously. We don't do this for anything other than the fact of our love for it and our love for the strange, our love for the weird, the macabre, the bizarre, and the same reason we go trancing off into woods or, doing paranormal hunts for the last 20 years. We have a weird life, and
we do.
We enjoy.
And we love our weird life.
We love it, and we love to share it with you guys. Thank you so much. It means so much to us. The listeners mean so much to us. So thank you for coming along with that. And on that, I think it might be time for some paranormal news.
So let's get to the news.
Let's.
All right. So this first story, I'm just going to put this in here because we were talking about the eclipse coming up, which we've been talking about. It's going to happen on August 21st. We are not going to get to see the full-on eclipse
because we're not down there.
We're not there in the band that it's going to be in. But I thought this story was interesting, and this is a story from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And apparently there is a town near Hopkinsville called Kelly, Kentucky, that has a festival every year to kind of memorialize this UFO sighting that happened there. And I know you've heard of this.
Yeah, it's a heck of it's a big deal.
Yes. So apparently, I didn't realize this, but it actually happened on August 21st. 1955. So this eclipse is actually the anniversary of this UFO sighting.
It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite sightings and stories ever in ufology.
Yeah. So for those who don't really know the story, basically in 1955, on the evening of August 21st, 5 adults and 7 children went to the police station claiming that small alien creatures were actually attacking their home and firing weapons, and they were firing back. And so a bunch of officers went out there and checked, and they didn't see any evidence of UFOs, but they saw a lot of bullet holes, and there was gunfire. Right. So nobody ever really knows.
And this is what happened pre-bath salts.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and we're talking about children, adults and children.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's still one of the most debated, sightings, events, or whatever.
I know, but if you really delve into the story deeply, it's so strange. It's high strangeness, and I love it. So that if you want to go do some homework and dig up on something, if you've never heard of it, that is definitely one to go into, because that's a rabbit hole I have dove into a few times.
Well, the Kelly, Kentucky, the community organization about 6 years ago began this Little Green Men Days festival, and they always have it at that time. That's to kind of just sort of a community event because of that, using that as a catalyst for it, which is cool. It's kind of builds civic pride. So this year,
which they need,
they're going to have tons of people because of the eclipse and the festival at the same time.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. They're expecting people from other countries and everything.
Dude, I've lived in Kentucky, and I lived in some little towns in Kentucky.
Right.
When I was first dating you, I was living in this little town, Williamsburg, Kentucky, and it was right across the line. And little known fact, when I was dating Stacey, I had this job in Williamsburg, Kentucky, and I was running a store. Surprise, surprise! When I was just a baby, when I should not have been running stores at that age.
Right.
But I would drive when I would get off work at night. I would drive all the way back to her house, like freaking
in Bristol, Tennessee.
Yeah, like 3 hours. I would drive just to be with her for like an hour. And hang out.
You were so sweet.
And then I would get up and drive back
and go to work.
Yeah, it was some hardcore stuff, man. But the reason I bring that up is that town was so big on UFOs. It wasn't really the hauntings, but I met several people and that were just all about, hey, we seen this, we seen that. So
it's because they live in Kentucky.
Well, I mean, honestly, and that you think you're joking, but there was, very little street lights. There wasn't any big city stuff, and all in the mountains, and there was a lot of like lore in that area about UFOs. So everything in Kentucky, like when we love Lexington. Like Lexington is the place that we want to have a home someday.
Oh, it's beautiful there.
Absolutely, very artsy, our kind of town.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want us to move to your town, you have a healthy art society, and and a lot of downtown action going on. Like not really the bars and stuff, but we're talking like
community events.
Stacey and I are, candy shops and cool stuff, like weird stores, not just antique stores, but the weird antique stores. We're always looking for needless things.
Exactly.
And, but we love the quirky little towns, and there are some really quirky little towns. So I love to hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because when a community embraces that, kind of like Mothman.
Yeah, they embrace the weirdness.
Yeah,
I love that.
Mount Pleasant. I really love the fact of people being like, okay, you know what? We had this weird stuff happen here. There's a town up here in Maine, Bucksport. I don't think they really embrace the witch deal with John Buck.
Around Halloween sometimes, but they don't really, I don't think they play that to its fullest potential.
I mean, there's a tombstone that has a foot that they can't get off. The story is they've changed the tombstone out, all this stuff. The town was named after this guy. And, the witch, the curse, of her foot still.
Yeah, supposedly there was a witch burning. There's a whole story. I'll have to look it up. We'll do a vlog on it.
Yeah, there you go. Because we'll go see it.
We'll go see it and show you. And there's like this witch burning and a curse and her footprint on his grave for all time. Or whatever. It's really cool.
But long story short, I love your quirky towns. If you guys out there have any little quirky towns that you know of that do these really crazy festivals, let us know, because that's stuff we'd like to travel to.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've got like Dogman festivals or whatever, let us know. It
doesn't even have to be paranormal. It can be like the biggest ball of yarn fest or something.
For you. For me, it has to be a little bit weird, guys. Like if you have the Gila monster of Johnson's Pond or something, just let us know. That's cool.
All right, well, let's move on. So this next story is about, and you've seen this everywhere, it's about this job posting that got put up by NASA.
Oh God, everybody
for the
has
Planetary Protection Officer.
Yes.
And so when you read the headline, it sounds really strange.
Sounds like a rib.
All of a sudden, NASA is hiring this Planetary Protection Officer, and they're taking applications, and everybody's just like, oh my God, they need someone to protect the planets. And
did you see what job qualifications are?
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know how many people actually qualified for this job.
But did you see the one my favorite qualification for the job?
I want to say it's the one where you have to be an expert in planetary defense or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you already have to be an expert in this before you can have the job.
Like I have a pretty big job.
Right.
Okay, in my Bruce,
you have a pretty extensive resume.
In my Bruce Wayne job. And I have a very extensive resume. I have been multi-unit manager for chains and a Fortune 300 chain and quite a few things over the years.
Right.
I've done everything from beat people up for money to manage people and beat them up for money. But I'm telling you, the job qualifications, I was reading it just because I was like, that would be fun.
Yeah.
So I was reading and experience in planetary protection.
Yeah.
How does one acquire this?
I don't know, but not only that, it carries a secret, like a security clearance, like a very secretive security clearance. So you already have to be kind of in that job area, you know, where you have security clearance. You have to have a major degree in like math or something. I mean, just crazy stuff.
I'm out.
Me too. The funny thing about this is not actually a brand new job. There already is somebody in this job.
Yeah.
What's happening is they're relocating the position from where it's at now to the Office of Safety and Mission Assurance. So the woman that holds the job now, if she wants to keep the job, has to reapply because it's going to a completely different place. You know how it is with the government and the military and stuff. They compartmentalize jobs and things like that. So this is not a new job. Basically, what the person does is they assess threats to other planets. Like supposedly they don't want us to contaminate other planets. So if we're sending something into space,
make sure we're not sending a bunch of germs.
Yeah, and they want to, and they're like, what if this crash lands? What's it going to do? Then
sounds
that's
like a
where
very boring job.
The planetary protection officer has to go and look at it and decide. Then it has to be a certain ratio that we're not going to, harm this other environment.
Right.
But on the contrary, if they're bringing something back from Mars or something, they have to make sure that they're doing it in such a way that they're not going to bring some strange alien microbes that's going to kill everybody.
And before you laugh, we have lost a lot of natives of a lot of countries because of Spanish or us,
right?
Or the English going and invading, or even going and trading, and then all of a sudden you bring a weird strain of the common cold that they've never had before, and it wipes everybody out.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly what this is. And I think they did an interview with the woman that holds the job, and I think she said that it has to have a less than 1 in 10,000 chance of contaminating either an alien world or our world. And she said basically the job is a lot of paperwork and reading reports and just a lot of research and that kind of thing.
A lot of playing Farmville.
Yeah. Well, it's a 6-figure job, though.
Yeah.
So, but like we said, you do have to be seriously qualified. I did see a news story where a 4th grader applied for the job. He's like 9 years old, and he was like, Guardians of the Galaxy, I'll do this. I'll be the planetary protection officer.
Yeah, it's freaking, I mean, like I always make the Starship Troopers joke.
Right.
Do you know how many people would actually, they're worried about us going crazy in the streets. I think I have seen a shift over the past few years. Of it going from, I think everybody would have mass hysteria if a UFO showed up over the White House, to I think that we would be okay. Like,
I feel like people would try to join. I'd be like, excuse me.
I don't know what they've done in the past few years.
Right.
But they're always conditioning us, the government and them was what I'm talking about.
Right.
They're always conditioning us to be ready for certain things or be prepared for certain things. And you can see it happen. And it's funny how much Hollywood and TV really does affect us. I remember 10 years ago, you really didn't hear much about the global warming. You didn't hear a whole lot about the, ice caps melting or anything like that. Maybe even 15 years ago. But then there was movies come out like 2012, and there was all these disaster movies, and it almost became like the accepted norm that, this is going to change.
Right.
And, I think really they went from making fun of all the alien stuff to a lot of people it's almost accepted in casual conversation, and maybe it's the friends we hang out with,
maybe,
but it's a lot more so than it used to be. I mean, it's night and day, man. I am not so sure that with all these movies they've had where they've had to deal with this,
right,
that they wouldn't be. I mean, I'm sure there'd be some panic, but I'm not so sure that we couldn't handle it now.
Right. Well, I mean, we talked about that over all these years doing the podcast. We've done stories where we're like, see what they're doing. If you read between the lines here, they're making this okay, and they're planting the seed here, and they're,
Well, our world's in disarray. It's in disarray. You've got a 50-50 split in the United States of people that are on one side and people that are on the other, and people like us who just choose to be on both sides. You've got all this stuff in the world, this conflict, this nuclear crisis. You've got all this insanity, this insanity going on in the world. people are looking for other things. I think that's why things like Game of Thrones is so big. I think that's why Walking Dead is so big. I think that's why comic books are so big. You're really looking to escape. And in history, the times that these things have become so huge has been times that, for instance, the big UFO craze in the early 50s. Okay.
Right.
UFO movies everywhere. You come out of the decade where we had World War II. Okay. The last thing you want to see or think about is reality.
Right.
And so it's really
things about war.
Right. It's that time where you really want to go somewhere else. And I think there's a lot of that displacement right now. I think that we would be happy and willing to be like, okay, do you have a better way? Oh my God.
Come, tell us.
Yeah, we're signing up right now. Be our overlords.
Right.
We're completely fine, So I don't know. I think that, and I know the government's listening for different reasons. I will say, government, we're ready. Go ahead and get us a real planetary protection force. And
well, aren't they starting that military branch?
I thought they were. I thought we did a story about this like a couple of months ago.
Well, this is different. This is just one job in
Right.
NASA.
Right.
I think that we did a story where they were actually trying to make. I don't think they've done it yet, but they were trying to make another branch of the military that's
it was like
space
coming off
related.
the Coast Guard or something.
The Air Force.
Oh, Air
Would be
Force.
part of they take part of the Air Force bases and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a space thing because we made the Starship Troopers joke about
Right,
that too.
right. I always make the Starship
Because
Troopers
that's
joke.
our go-to joke.
Yeah.
But well, anyway, it's a cool story and it's interesting.
Calm yourself, people. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah, it's not a new thing. So
Yeah.
all right, well, let's go on to like a little ghosty.
But there again.
Oh, sorry. That's okay.
There again, that story
Right.
went everywhere.
It did.
It was on everything from like Hollywood Reporter
and
to.
I don't think it was because people were laughing at it. I think people were excited.
Yeah,
they were
no.
like, "Holy crap, we get a planetary protection officer!"
Dude, it trended like shortly. It was trending. It was everywhere because
There are kids applying for the job.
right because the world has changed.
Yeah, I agree.
It really has.
I agree. All right. Well, are we moving on now?
On.
Okay, on. So I've got this sort of haunted poltergeisty story.
I love how when you say something, it's always got the E at the end of it, like ghosty,
Well,
poltergeisty.
that's how you make it a descriptive word.
I got you.
You can use any word you want to and put E at the end, and it makes it descriptive.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah, you should try it.
Well, all I can think of is sexy sitting here looking at you.
Oh, well, that's really a word. But thank you. Okay. So this story is about a castle called Ripley Castle. Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, they had a pair of silver candlesticks that went missing around Christmas in 2014.
Okay, so this was totally a theft, right? Like,
No, well, that's what they thought.
all right.
But the owner of the castle, they searched that castle. High and low. He didn't report the theft for a while because he thought that they would reappear or that they would find them. So finally,
And
after
what castle is this again?
it's called Ripley Castle
Ripley Castle. Where's it at?
in North Yorkshire.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Gotcha.
So they searched the castle thoroughly. There was no sign of them. So they finally decided they had to make the claim with the insurance because they were very expensive. Georgian silver candlesticks. So they made the claim. They got the money. They bought some replacements. And the regular candlesticks turned up.
When you say turned up, what do you mean turned up?
Well, nobody knew where they were. And nobody could find them. They searched everywhere. And then one day they were just sitting there right next to the ones that they bought to replace them. And they were in a red bag sitting right on the shelf, like right out in the open.
Oh my God.
And nobody knows where they came from,
So they totally got your ghost.
apparently.
This is one of the things that happens to Stacey.
Mm-hmm.
She'll look. Our ghost here at the house. They just absolutely love screwing with Stacey.
Oh my
and
God.
They will hide if she needs to light incense. They'll hide the lighter for like 3 hours, and then it'll be exactly where she looked.
Yeah, it'll be right there where I had already looked 500 times.
So I'm interested now because of that story, which is very cool.
Right.
I'm interested in because it obviously was not a theft unless the butler had to put him in hock to pay off a gambling debt.
It had been like years. It was weird. And for them to be right there on the shelf, right in a place that they had looked, right next to the ones they bought to replace. So they just returned the ones they bought to replace, returned the money to the insurance company. And, just the guy that owns the castle just laughed it off. He was like, well, there's ghosts of 2 children that lived here when they died of leukemia when they lived here. And I'm sure it was just them playing a prank. Like,
so
he's just
they returned the money and everything.
Yeah, the guy that owned the castle returned the money because, the candlesticks were found.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, I thought that was really crazy.
Okay, so this is time right now where I'm asking from you guys. Have you had that kind of experience in your house? Have you had that kind of ghost in your house that hides things, car keys, usually car keys are one of the bigger ones.
For me, it's little things like sometimes if I need the scissors.
Right.
And I've been using the scissors for some reason and I lay them down and then I go back to get them and they're gone. Yeah. And I can't find them. I have to get a different pair. And then a couple hours later, I'll come back and they'll be laying right there.
You see, the funny thing about Stacey, and I can see why the ghost would do this with you. The funny thing about Stacey, if Stacey has something on her mind, she can't get rid of it. Like if she's looking for something, and a lot of times you won't even notice. I'll be reading a book or something and on the couch and she'll go by like 19 times. And each time her hair's a little bit more messed up and she's a little bit more frantic and she'll go through the same drawers. Like you'll see her go over and she'll open a drawer and she'll go through it and she'll mumble something. I'll be like, what was that? Oh, I'm just talking to myself. So it goes on for a minute and then you just ask. You're like, honey, she'll be like, oh yeah, I'm looking for this. And then I would, most of the time it's the next day. Mm-hmm. The next day, either her or Ariana or Raja or somebody will be like, oh, hey, look. And I can hear this a million times. There are literally dozens of examples of this happening. And Stacey will lose her mind. She'll be like, what? What? Are you kidding me? It was right there. No, I looked there. So
it makes me feel like I'm crazy.
So it's just funny because I can see the ghosts
they're probably just laughing at me.
Oh yeah, just like
I'm sure.
Oh my God, this is so much fun.
I'm sure it is because of how crazy I get because I can't not look for it.
Yeah, you've got this thing about
especially if I know where it's at. Well, if we're in bed and we're laying down to go to sleep and I think of something that I need for the next day, I can't go to sleep. I have to get up and get it,
dude. And
put it out.
You do that about everything. It's good in a way because you follow through.
I suppose.
But in another way, I can just release stuff. Like if there's something like that with me, I just absolutely release it. And
me.
You can't do that.
No, I have to follow through.
I have a lot of little quirks, but that's just one of yours. Pretty cool. All right.
Okay. Well, sticking on the theme of haunted stories, this is a story that I saw, and this is actually 2 stories put together because I saw this a couple weeks ago about this woman who bought some dolls in like a charity shop, like a thrift store.
Right.
And she bought 3 dolls, like China dolls, like the creepy China dolls.
Yeah.
And she spent like £5 on them and she bought them home. And one of the dolls, she says, was haunted. And that it was causing problems in her home. And I didn't pick up the story because when I first saw it, it was in the Sun. And I don't like to pick up a lot of stuff there because it's kind of a sell your story to us kind of paper. Right. But they actually put her on TV, on ITV on This Morning. Supposedly she had this doll. Like I said, she bought 3, but there was one that she had this terrible feeling about. The other 2 were fine. And her husband got scratched. He kept getting scratched. It was like these little scratches, like it was a little hand. And her daughter was completely freaked out. And, it was this big problem. And so she decided that she was just going to put it on eBay. So she listed on eBay. She only started at like £25.
Now, you're not allowed to list haunted items anymore on eBay.
She didn't put it on there as haunted. I don't know that if it's haunted items or just like you can't do things like spells and things like that.
I'm not completely sure, but I swear I think they stopped allowing you to sell things that are purportedly haunted.
Right. Well, she just listed it as a doll.
Okay.
And she talked about what had happened, but I don't think she listed it as a haunted doll because the guy that bought it, I think he said one of the reasons he was so interested in it is because she wasn't trying to say, ooh, haunted doll had it here. Right.
And I may be completely wrong about that, by the way.
Well, she basically, when she had it, it was causing problems. She put it in her shed because she didn't want it in the house.
Right.
And supposedly when she had it in this, she put it in a box with some other toys and she said it kind of moved while it was in there. It was really freaking her out. So she listed it on eBay. And she started it at £25 and she just put in there that, what happened and she wanted rid of it. So the next story is about this paranormal investigator who bought it. He ended up paying like 800 and some pounds for it. Like the bidding went crazy on this thing. And he bought it and had it sent to his house. He's a paranormal enthusiast. He has all kinds of haunted items. He loves this stuff.
Right.
And he got it, and he actually has some kind of YouTube or something. He did an unboxing, and supposedly when he did the unboxing with the doll, the lights were flickering.
Okay.
And that sort of thing. So he just put it next to his bed, and he was doing some kind of live thing with the doll. And while he was doing it, I guess he's still pretty kind of young. He lives with his parents, and his mom hollered up the stairs, and his dad was being scratched.
Oh,
in the kitchen.
Shut up.
No. And so that's why this story then got picked up by Daily Mail or something, because now it's been this woman saying it, and now the guy that has the doll is saying it.
Wow.
And they've got pictures of the scratch. They both have pictures of the scratches. And so I thought, well, I'm going to do this story because, I mean, haunted dolls are a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so he is absolutely just ecstatic about this. Like, I mean, he's not happy his dad got scratched, but he, as much as he likes paranormal stuff, he is like, I have got this haunted doll. I can't wait to see what it's going to do next.
Oh, honey, those scratches are going to get old quick.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, it's not even him. It's his dad, you know? So he, I don't know. He's going to keep it. He can't wait to see what else is going to happen. He said that he wanted to use he used a random words app.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of like an obelisk thing, but an app. I've never used something like that, but that... when he did it, the doll told him its name was Samantha, and then it said something like "Strike Lee," and this guy's name is Lee. So, so I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, it's really cool though. I mean, you know, the scratches are no joke though. I mean, if there's one thing about paranormal that I don't like, it's the scratches, because they burn. I mean, they. It's not like your normal scratch. It's you know, when you're getting paranormally scratched, there's that burning.
Yes, I hate the burning. The burning is the worst.
I've still got pictures. I was going through pictures the other day, and I've got pictures from like 2 houses ago, because we do move a lot, and not because we have to. It's I move a lot with my job, and we're gypsies, so we love when the opportunity comes up, and they're like, "Hey, you want to go to Bangladesh?" Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, we've never been there before.
Yeah, never been there before. Let's go. You know. But there was a house probably 2 houses ago in Lebanon, Virginia. And Stacey
was like 3 houses ago.
3 houses ago.
Yeah.
And Stacey was getting just mutilated. I mean, she was getting all these scratches on her legs. She was getting all these scratches on her stomach. And it was one of those places where we could actually feel the burn, start filming, and see the scratches appear. I had that happen.
That place was crazy.
Several times. Like, you would see the first scratch, and then you see the second scratch and the third scratch, and that place was very haunted. But it was haunted just from the people that didn't want us there, didn't want anybody there.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I could do Frank's Box in that place, and it was always the same. It was always just like, get out, you know, get out of here.
We did have a lot of weird stuff happen there, but I will post links to that story, and I'll see if I can't find his YouTube channel. Put a link on there.
Put the unboxing. A link for the unboxing on the website.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch that video. It was in the story, but I'll find it, and I'll put a link up for that, because I think that'd be kind of interesting. But I'm kind of curious to see. I'm a little torn on this because it's kind of cool that this is happening, but then again, I don't think you should be giving it power like that. But
yeah, absolutely. That's kind of like, you know, what from this past investigation that we were talking about, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool in a way, but then in another way, do you really want to give that power?
Right.
You know, so I don't know. Interesting stuff.
Well, let me do this next story. I was going to do this later, but it kind of fits in with the whole haunted doll thing. And this is just kind of a fun story. This is a story from Malaysia. And they have a train.
I have a lot of things made from there.
They have this train operators called Rapid K1. And so they've done this campaign recently where they use the Annabelle doll to warn commuters to mind their manners. And so they have a Facebook page. And so somebody came up with this idea, this marketing idea, where they put pictures on the Facebook page of a doll that looks just like the Annabelle doll from the movies.
Oh my God.
Not the original Annabelle doll.
Yeah,
like
not the
but
Raggedy
the one people would recognize from the movies.
The creepy one.
Right. So they took some pictures of her sitting at the gate and sitting on a train. And they put a message up that said, "Dear valued customers, lately we've been receiving surprise visits from Annabelle. Mind your manners while you are on our trains, or she will haunt you forever."
Oh my God.
That's their marketing plan to make people more conscientious and nicer when they're riding the trains.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I do.
I love it.
That's amazing. What a good sense of humor.
Yes, I thought that it was great. It was basically just a social etiquette kind of, hey.
If they did that in the States, If they did that in the United States, somebody would sue them and say that
my
Annabelle...
child's been traumatized and won't ride the train.
Right. You can't have fun like that here.
But I thought this was awesome. I actually did go to their Facebook page, and it's on there. I mean, it was posted on August 1st, so I went back, and the pictures are there. It's great.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. What a cool company.
No, that's very cool.
Oh. Okay, so let's move on. So this is kind of a cool story. This is about a dinosaur. I know you love when we find dinosaurs and things like that.
Yes, especially if it sets mankind back another 10,000 years, like most of them.
It's not one of those, but it's still pretty cool. So this is a story that actually started way back in 2011.
All right.
In March of 2011, there's a construction worker named Sean Funk, and he works on a mine. It's called the Millennium Mine, I think, like that, in Canada. And they dig, and they know that occasionally it used to be like an ocean.
Right.
Now it's dried up, and they dig. So one day he is digging, and he accidentally dug into a fossil, and he could tell like it's something that happens a lot. They run into bones, and when they do, they call the museum. Normally it's marine animals, things of that sort. So he ran into this fossil, and they called the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Alberta. And what he actually ran into was an entire ankylosaurus. You know, like the long, like the short, tank-like plates all over him, tail, stuff like that. Completely preserved skin, plates. God. You can't even see the skeleton.
Oh my God.
Because it was completely just preserved at the bottom of the ocean. Wow. And so they got this entire dinosaur out of the rock.
Oh my God.
It is an absolutely amazing find. So like I said, this happened back in March 2011. So you haven't really heard anything about it. They brought some people in to excavate it. Like once they found it was there, they stopped digging. They're very good about that.
Right.
They brought in teams of people. They did some intense 3-day safety training. They cut this huge rock out of the mine, and they tried to lift it out. It actually fell and broke into a couple of pieces, but they were just big, clean pieces.
Damn it, Fred!
I know. And they
got one job.
They sent it to the Royal Tyrrell Museum. So they're really overworked there. They don't have a lot of people, so they got...
It's hard, and it's High Garden's a busy place.
They got one guy. One guy got the job of breaking the rock away from this fossil, like deciding what's dinosaur and what's
I bet
rock.
It wasn't the same guy who was in charge of pulling it out of the damn hole.
No, it was not. This guy's name was Mark Mitchell. It took him 5.5 years.
Well, yeah.
To finish this. So now
it's paid by the hour.
Finally done. Thanks, Mark. It's a finished specimen. It's on display to the public, and it's absolutely amazing. They actually have the problem now where they're having trouble studying its skeleton because they can't really see the skeleton because it's got all of its skin and its flesh and everything.
Well, there you go. There's DNA for cloning.
Right. So what they think happened is this is not the kind of dinosaur that would be in the water. Obviously, because it's very heavy and it's not something that would swim. They feel like maybe it accidentally got washed out to shore or it flooded or something. Or
they're wrong about it being an ocean. Or it's from even earlier time and they have no idea
who knows? Well,
what our real history is.
Their guesses is that it got sucked out in the water, it sunk, and before anything could eat it, a bunch of the sediment settled on it.
Right.
And that's how it got preserved without anything eating it or decomposing or anything like that. So, I don't know, pretty cool story.
It is.
Awesome that they found such a good specimen.
I tell you what, the guy who dropped it would be a fossil. Like, I would replace the fossil with him.
I think it was just so heavy. I mean, I don't think it was very manageable. I don't know.
It's like, hey, this is the first preserved dinosaur we've ever found. Oh,
Crack.
Wait, yeah.
Well, now it's in 6 pieces. I don't know.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. Of course, Satan probably placed it there to throw us off the trail, but
probably
still, yeah, it's cool that we found a.
Well, if we ever go to Canada, we'll go to Alberta and we'll go to that museum and see the awesome full dinosaur.
Being that I can throw a stone and hit a Canadian,
I know.
You know, we should really do more in Canada.
We probably should. Okay, so let's move on to this next story. So this is the story about the UFO sighting in Spokane, Washington at the Sky Fest. Remember, we watched the video.
Yes.
And this is a sighting a man took a video. He was actually filming the planes at the air show, and he didn't even know he caught this until he watched it later on. And it was picked up by the local news, who actually did a decent job on the story. They didn't make fun of it, or
no X-Files music.
Yeah, they didn't play any creepy music or act like he was a joke or anything. They just showed the video, and they were like, what do you think? So what it is it's a video, and they play the video in slow motion, and you can see the two planes coming at each other, and before the planes get there, a white object just zips through, and even in slow motion, that thing is moving. Yeah. And they have no idea what it is. People have said birds, but a bird would disintegrate at that speed. Yeah, and then he was like, well, sometimes people say it could be a bug close up to the thing, but still, it was moving so fast. Yeah. And, we watch a lot of UFO videos. We do. It didn't look like anything I had ever seen. We watch UFO videos every single day, and we have for a decade. So... So there was actually a second, unidentified object in the video, like a black type of thing, which could have bbeen more like a bird. It wasn't moving as quickly. It was a little odd. Well, the whole thing about it, a lot of times when I see these, or I see the weird lights in the forest, or I've seen some UFO videos or labeled UFO videos where you see almost like these orb type things. I think there's such a fine line there with the paranormal and UFOs that sometimes I think it may be like a spirit we're looking at, especially like that video. Just as easily could have been like some sort of paranormal spirit, or I mean it could have been. I'm just saying a lot of those are so close, man. They're so similar. Really know. Yeah. Really cool story. So, speaking of cool stories, yes. This is the story about the house for sale in Maine that I want to go buy right now. It's in our price range. It is the house where Stephen King wrote Pet Sematary, the house that inspired the story. It's very cool too. It is very cool. It is for sale. There's an article in the Bangor Daily News about it. There was pictures. They had an open house this past weekend. The house is just gorgeous. Yeah. It's absolutely gorgeous. Sits on 3 acres, and there is a pet cemetery behind it, and there is the busy road. And I think the article, they did an interview with Stephen King, and he was talking about how he got inspired to write the book, and even one of his sons, I think Owen, was running at the road one day, and he had to snatch him away before he ran in the road. I think that's part of the story in the movie and stuff like that. I would totally like to go there and just, have a cat that tragically dies and like put him into because we don't have any pets. No, if we bought that house, we'd have to get some pets. We'd have to get some pets, like some rescue pets that are not doing so well, because we don't want the pet to die. Very old rescue pets. Very old pet, that we could put in there just to see, just to check. Experimentation. See? Yeah, little necromancy never hurt anybody. Well, the house is actually really beautiful. There's pictures online, but it is for sale for $255,000. Yeah, it is cool. So very cool. Very cool. I'd like to buy his current house. It's more my speed. It's awesome. It's Victorian. It's absolutely awesome. Okay, so I have a few more just little quirky stories for you. You're going to like some of these. All right, so this first one is about an airline, Air India. Air India. So the Air India crew that's assigned to fly to Chicago has recently made a request to their company to please book them in a different hotel when they travel to Chicago, because they can't sleep in the hotel they're in because it is haunted. Oh, I thought it might be all the gunshots that they hear. No. So, could you please have us in a different hotel, not Chicago? They claim that it's a nerve-wracking experience in the Chicago hotel, and that they don't want to sleep alone. And now it doesn't specifically say which hotel, but we know that there are several hotels in Chicago that we've done stories about them that absolutely. Are very haunted. And a couple of we have friends of the show who just only do haunted tours in Chicago. So a couple of the people that work there have claimed that they don't want to fly to Chicago anymore until this is taken care of, that they want them to investigate, and they want them to change their accommodations anytime they fly to Chicago. Wow. I mean, that's pretty bold. Especially coming from India. I mean, that's like one of the most haunted, UFO-ridden, their whole basis of humanity is based on, right, flying Vimanas. Well, think about how many times, I don't know what you just said, but think about how many times in your job you've actually written a letter to your management to make a complaint. Yeah. I mean, it has to be pretty bad. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't you think? Yeah. No, I thought that was kind of crazy. I hope they change them. I hope they put them in a different hotel. All right. So here's another story that was really strange. And this is from China.
Okay.
And this is from Beijing. And apparently 2 Chinese officials have been fired from their government jobs for their involvement in superstitious activities, including casting spells to aid promotions and attending geomancy courses under the guise of business trips. So they've been doing these supernatural, paranormal.
So I'm guessing they've been very successful
spellcasting
in their business.
Maybe. So the ruling Communist Party, they're supposed to not follow any religion.
Right.
They're, it's an atheist country or whatever. And so they've found out that these 2 people have been doing things like putting up altars, casting spells, making tributes to try and get promoted. Probably worked.
It probably did. That's
probably why they're upset. Yeah. And now
they're covered in boils now, but it worked.
One of the gentlemen actually charged some of their courses and things to the government. So that was a no-no.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're trying to make it a business expense.
Right.
But basically it was because they were engaging in these activities and they were like, nope.
Yeah. None of that.
Out of here. See you later.
See ya, buddy. Yeah.
So they have been fired for spellcasting.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see that very often.
You don't see it every day.
No. So, all right. So last story.
Okay.
And this is about a group in North Carolina that hunts Bigfoot.
Ah.
And the group is called Bigfoot 911.
Okay.
So
the original name.
They had this story, the Charlotte Observer. This is from Charlotte.
Okay.
And the Charlotte Observer did a story on them a few months ago just because they have set up this group where people can call them. Like they say, don't call the police, call us if you have a Bigfoot sighting.
Okay.
Because they have Bigfoot 911.
Yeah.
So they've been in the paper again because supposedly they did this investigation this past weekend. And one of the gentlemen, I think he might even be the leader, claims that he came face to face with a Bigfoot.
Wow.
Yes, that was his story. So supposedly there was about 7 people out in the woods and they were scattering glow sticks around and they saw one of the glow sticks moving. And so he turned his headlamp and saw a large animal covered in hair, I guess carrying the glow stick. And so he ran after it and supposedly came face to face with it for about 10 or 15 seconds and said that its face was solid black with no hair, but then there was hair all over it that was shaggy and, what a Bigfoot looks like.
Right.
Unfortunately, he did not take any pictures or have any video.
Well, that happens.
Right.
We can't really fault him for that.
No. So he did say that it took off after that, not to be seen again, but that he did see it. He saw the details, that he did see it face to face for a few seconds, and that it was absolutely a Bigfoot.
Man, you know what? There you go. Congratulations. Once again, you fall into the realm of I do this professionally, and I do not remember to pull up my camera. I mean,
we do that all the time.
It's freaking happened to us a million times. I mean, it's like we had something over top our car that made our car shut off, and we had camera phones.
We didn't even remember it.
Yeah.
The next week.
So I mean,
well, to be fair, he was running after it. So I mean,
yeah,
he was thinking, run, don't
he was
not
thinking
film,
he wants
film,
to
film.
see it.
Exactly, which he did.
I mean, the
him.
passion that the Bigfoot community has for getting that evidence and really in their pursuit of trying to get that hard evidence, but still yet that passion that fuels you is just answering your own questions and your mystery. So the first thing you're thinking about is, I just want to experience this, whether it's going to pull me limb from limb. I just want to experience this, you know? So,
well, that particular area is very heavy with Bigfoot sightings. And in fact, I think the TV show went there. Finding Bigfoot.
Right.
I think they went to that area somewhere in North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's one of those hot spots, where you have tons of Bigfoot sightings.
Oh, yeah. So. There's a lot of strange things in North Carolina, mostly North Carolinians, but it's... I
agree.
Well, we lived there too.
Yes, we did.
Several times. So we've been all over the place.
I know.
That was some good news.
Thank you.
And thank you. All right. Well, there you go. We had a little bit of Bigfoot, a little bit of ghost, a little bit of aliens. I think you covered the whole gambit.
I think so. I think we had a smorgasbord.
Oh, my God. You pulled out the smorgasbord. I tell you, man, I keep going back to that stupid candlestick story.
Yeah.
I keep going back to that because the crazy thing about that is that guy's not really profiting on that. Okay.
No.
So he gave back the money. and I mean, they obviously weren't stolen because it had been so long.
Right.
It's just a cool story. It's just a really cool story.
It is. And for him to just immediately say, well, there's these 2 children ghosts that we have here, and they're probably playing a prank, and I don't know. I just thought it was crazy.
And he's all chill about it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Anyway, ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find out everything missing candlesticks. Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. There's all kinds of candlesticks there. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. On Instagram, Hot Missing Candlesticks Damn, it's John and Stacey Edwards. On YouTube, subscribe, folks, because we're starting our new vlog.
Yay.
And you'll be able to see John and Stacey, that's us, as we go through our misadventures of our daily life of finding all kinds of weird stuff and just weird things happening. And if not just that, just hanging out and talking about weird stuff and making fun of each other. We do a lot of not just regular investigations. We do a lot of things such as looking for Bigfoot. We delve out into the woods. We go and lay on the top of hills to watch for UFOs. We wherever there's a hot spot anywhere near us, we try to go find it. Old things that are mysterious, we try to go to check those things out. And the mysteries of New England as it is, or anywhere, man, we'll drive 7 hours to see something weird. So just to have fun with you guys, because we love interacting with you. We thought, you know what, why not? Let's just film some of this. So on YouTube, subscribe, youtube.com/Paranormal Sideshow, and on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, however you listen, that's how we bring it. Subscribe to the podcast if not already. And if you haven't already told your neighbors about it, please go out and tell them, and tell them that they don't know what they're missing. Because
they don't.
We love each and every one of you. And thank you so much for joining us again. And we'll talk to you next week. From my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.